last week.
Welcome. This is the Scarlet and Rage podcast. I am Michael, the voice of reason, and this is Jay, the voice of rage. And we're going to get into that big NIL ruling, discuss it. Some of you, maybe all of you, may not know exactly what to make of all of this. Some of you may have done your research. I don't know, but we're going to get into it tonight. Before we get to that, if you would, please hit that like and subscribe button if you have not. Those of you that are watching live, please go ahead and hit that like button. As you're watching this after the fact, if you would hit that like and subscribe as well. Appreciate all of you who have. Chat, we thank you for coming in. There was a drum roll evidently waiting for our arrival, and we are here. And we want to get with the chat tonight as we can, interact with you guys. Of course, as always, if a super chat is given, then we will 100% get to that and highlight your comment and discuss it for just a moment. I think we are ready to get into it, and we're going to start off by Jay's request. Well, I'm all for it too, but we're going to start off talking about the Cincinnati Reds. Cincinnati Reds winning the Ohio Cup for the first time in a while. Beating the Cleveland Indians at worst 4 out of 6 in the 3-game series split between my two cities, Cleveland and Cincinnati. Cincinnati being my current city, Cleveland being my old. And this one, Jay, as Marty Brenneman would say, this one belongs to the Reds.
Michael, I know you didn't even watch the game, but I don't know that you actually get the Reds games considering they moved over to like another channel. I've heard differing complaints there and everything like that, but
I cannot get the Reds as of right now because my television source is YouTube TV, and it's not an option on YouTube TV. And
my parents have the same problem. They can't watch the Reds.
And on Amazon, it would be a total waste of money to buy the baseball package because the Reds are blacked out.
Because you're local.
Yep.
Wow, man.
Incidentally, my dad is also blacked out from the Reds in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So that Chattanooga, Tennessee is also blocked out from the Reds. So that blackout.
Is Chattanooga, Tennessee Reds country? They show the Reds games?
I don't know why they feel that it needs to be blacked out, but it is and has been for years. The whole idea behind the blackout is you want to drive people to the stadium. I don't think a lot of people are missing the games down in Southeast Tennessee because it's on TV. That seems like a little absurd to me. But anyhow, I can't watch them. So I am going to watch the Reds and Yankees live here in a week or two, whenever that is, middle to end of this month. I was invited by a friend, just kind of out of nowhere, invited me to go to the game. So I am going to go to the game live, probably going to go to at least one more this year, but no, I don't get to see him. But Jay, tell me about it.
Man, quick couple thoughts, man. I said this a few weeks ago when we swept those inbreds up north that the Reds are actually a lot more talented than Cleveland. I don't know how Cleveland has such a good record. Their plus minus and run differential on the year is actually like really in the negatives, whereas the Reds, ours is pretty well into the positives. Like when we've lost so many 1-0 or like 2-1 games, but like when we win by a lot. So I don't know. It just what jumps out is like the Reds are just a better team than them for the first time in a long time. I can legitimately say like we are much better than them outside of like 2 or 3 positions. Like we have them beat. Like, yeah, Jose Ramirez is the best player between both teams, and it's not even close. Mm-hmm. And but the thing is, it's like I guess players 2 through 4 are probably 2 and 3 are Reds, and then you have Stephen Kwan, and then it's like I would take the entire Reds starting pitching staff, our aces against theirs all day.
Yeah. I agree with all that. I had season tickets to the Indians.
Oh, why? God.
Well, Jay, just because I was a baseball fan, and I was, in a major league city. I lived basically 12, 13 miles from the stadium. And so I just couldn't pass up just going to the field, taking the boys. I wasn't a huge Indians fan or anything like that, but I was really just there to see the other teams. Just so happened that one of the years I had season tickets, they did go to the World Series. Of course, they got beat, but I was there when J Ram was a rookie, and so I remember seeing him come up and watched him play several games that year. Lindor was a rookie right around one of those 2 years as well. Of course, Lindor's gone now, but yeah, the Indians, that's what I call them. That's who they are. They're not the Guardians to me.
You don't hate them like I do because you didn't grow up there. You just lived there. I kind of grew up in Cleveland, so it kind of has a different effect on me.
Well, but I don't like them now. I really don't like them now because they did that ridiculous, bowing the knee for no reason and changing their name from the Indians to the Guardians. And I'm not going to get into that story, but it is actually an honor. The reason the Cleveland team named them the Indians, it's an honor to Native American people. So, that's my little soapbox for today. But yeah, no, I'm not a fan since they named them at all. And so I am pumped that the Reds took that cup back.
Yeah, first time in 10 years. Every single if you win the Ohio Cup, if it ties the next year, it stays in, the previous city. So it's not like Cleveland was really beating us a lot of years. A lot of years we were tied, but we didn't get like the one game over on them to take the cup back. This time we did. Now I want to sweep them in Cleveland. I want to go 6-0, man. I mean, the last time we've dominated Cleveland this bad, and I remember it was 2009, and we're talking about the years that Grady Sizemore was carrying Cleveland. If you remember that name, I hated him.
I definitely remember Grady Sizemore.
I hated him so bad, but that was the beginning of Joey Votto, Jay Bruce, Brandon Phillips, Homer Bailey, Johnny Cueto. That really, really good young core that ended up not winning anything, but we know how that goes. And still to this day, that 2012 San Francisco Giants series is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. It's right up there with Ohio State, Georgia 2022 Ohio State, Clemson 2019. But yeah, I just hate Cleveland. I will say this. There is one great thing that has come out of Cleveland. Do you know what that is, Michael?
No, what's up?
Can you guess which comic book character came out of Cleveland? It's a comic book character. Because anyone in the chat know.
Comic book character. Well, I don't know. I know rock and roll kind of came out.
Yeah, rock and roll kind of original.
That term, yeah.
And I'll tell you. All right, you just want to know?
Yeah, I want to know.
The Superman.
Superman came out of Cleveland.
Same with Superman came out of Cleveland, man. And their two writers of Superman actually went to Glenville.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I guess before Glenville was all black. But it was back in the day, this is the 30s. But yeah, you fly into Cleveland, because I've flown into Cleveland before. And one of the things you see is the birthplace of the Superman is Cleveland, Ohio. And that is cool. And what's also cool about Cleveland is the new Superman movie that comes out in exactly a month. Parts of the movie were filmed inside Jacobs Field.
Wow. Yeah, you guys may not know, but those of us that lived in Cleveland did. A lot of movies get filmed in Cleveland, but never are they actually in Cleveland in the movie. Typically in the movie, they're supposed to be in New York City.
Yeah.
It's just cheaper to come film it in Cleveland, and there's parts of downtown, the way that they cut the angles, they can make it look like parts of Manhattan. And so, yeah, little fun fact.
I stood in a 4-hour line in 2011. In 2011, I stood in a 4-hour line to try and be an extra in the Avengers.
Yeah, my neighbor up there in Cleveland was an extra in a couple of the Avengers movies.
Man, dude, why did they choose him or her? What was the reasoning?
No idea. I mean, I think he got there super, super early. He really wanted to do it. But I don't know. But yeah, he showed me his little parts. I mean, you can see him in passing. I mean, it's very, very quick.
That is really cool, though. I mean, again, that's all I wanted, and I didn't get it. Now, I will tell you this. I was out there. There were 2 days. So I went one day, which was a Saturday, and we literally walked up to the line, and people were like, just turn around and go. You're not going to be able to get it. It's closing down at a certain time. So the next day, which was, I think, a Sunday, the line started at 9 a.m. So we got there at 7, and people were camped out to get in line. And I was there at 7, and I think it took us until about 11:30. The line started, and then at 11:30 went through. They got our picture. I think I stood in a line of like 9 people held, and you had to be in a suit and tie. You had to be dressed like you were in a long, hot 90-degree Cleveland day line. I mean, I think I say 90 degrees, but it was probably like 83 degrees. But that was when I was in my Northeast Ohio days, and 80 degrees was super hot. Now it's like 92 is super hot. So yeah, man, that's an interesting story down memory lane. Michael, we have some big news here, my friend. But I guess I'll just leave this off because everybody's been wanting to really discuss what just happened. And the topic at hand, Michael, is NIL. And obviously we're about to get into our thoughts on everything NIL. But I'm just gonna go down memory lane and give everyone a recap here of everything NIL. So let's start at the beginning, the very beginning. So Michael, in July of 2009, Ed O'Bannon, does that name ring a bell to you?
No.
Okay, former UCLA basketball player who was a starter on their 1995 national championship team filed a lawsuit against the NCAA and Collegiate Licensing Company, basically for using his likeness without monetary gain. The 2009 game featured an unnamed UCLA player who played his position with all of his measurables, looks, attributes. And what I find interesting about that, Michael, is that the game was for 2009. So it must have been a historical team in there since he played literally 14 years prior. And, afterwards, 20 other athletes eventually followed suit as well. So the trial then happens, and the trial took place between June 9th through the 27th of 2014. And Judge Claudia Wilkin, a senior district judge from the Northern District of California, mind you, ruled that the NCAA's long-held practice of barring payments to athletes violated antitrust laws. The NCAA did appeal, but the Supreme Court denied the NCAA's appeal, and the NCAA was ordered to pay the plaintiffs $42.2 million spread out to thousands of athletes. Michael, I'm sure you remember when all of those athletes back in the day got reimbursed. Do you remember?
I do.
You want to see something interesting that I just dug up?
Did you dig up your check? Oh, your stub there.
That is I looked it up. That is my official check that I received from EA Sports back in, I don't actually remember. So I'm just going to read this off. It says, "Dear class member, enclosed, please find a check in the amount of $1,781.77. This check represents your combined settlement payment for both the NCAA and EA video game likeness settlements. Please cash this check as soon as possible, no later than July 5th, 2016. You will know, blah, 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 whatever." And it has like a point system on here. I'm looking at it. It has EA points, NCAA points, and I had 13.2 points for both. So, and I think for every point was, amount per point was $85 and then $49. And that's how they came to like my payment. So there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's like one of my claim to fames.
Nice. What I want to know, Jay, is how do I get in on this $2.3 billion deal of back payments? Is there any way?
Well, we need to talk about that in a minute. Let me finish what I was going to say here because we have a lot more to discuss. So, as we all know, the NCAA terminated its license with EA during this events with both video games. NCAA Basketball 10 being the last college basketball game, NCAA 14 being the last football game. And as we all know, after a bunch of other events in July of 21, athletes could be compensated for their likeness, which essentially they could get paid from third parties, but not directly from the university. So After all that, Michael, let's just talk, not even what just happened, but everything in the last couple of years, our thoughts about NIL Michael, just go ahead and just tell me your overall thoughts with NIL. Do you like it? Did you not like it? What do you think?
Well, I started out not liking it because the Buckeyes were kind of a little bit behind the curve there in the early days. However, I'm not going to harp on that because they did catch up and figure it out pretty well. And so, yeah, for the last couple of years, for sure, probably 2024, 2025, maybe even 2023, I was, I didn't mind the idea of it. And then I began to really like it because it was an advantage Ohio State. It is a little bit of the Wild West, but it's a market. And so that market kind of eventually started settling itself out, and reaching kind of a happy medium point where, things were they were what they were. You had a market for this type of player. You had a market for that type of player. Teams had their budgets, and that kind of, set how much a player was going to get. And so I think it had gotten to a pretty good place. And, I was happy with it, but now it's going to be, turning over and changing again. And so there's probably going to be a new market set because the cap essentially just went up. And so players are going to be able to demand more. It'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah, man. Well, let me just break this down in my opinion. So, man, the entitlement from these college athletes, man, just absolutely insane and it's just so selfish and just a very, me society we live in. For one of the first things that I will always say is, you don't go to college to make money while there. You go to make money afterwards, So like while you're in college, you're obviously becoming whatever, very, and maybe not an expert, but very refined in what you study and, to take that out in the world and, make money, and here's the thing, like, again, like one of the arguments with these athletes was, it's like, oh, they're taking advantage of their likeness and making all of this money and these athletes are getting nothing. Well, that's not true. The athletes, for instance, they're getting free tuition, and most of these athletes, Michael, are coming from out-of-state schools. So if you're looking at like tuition costs for an out-of-state kid, what are we looking at here for 1 year? I don't know. Like for Ohio State, out-of-state tuition kids, like if they were to like pay out of pocket, how much money is that?
I don't know, but as having a daughter that's going to be going into college, not next school year, but the year after, I know in state, it is about right at $30,000. You might as well say for an in-state student to attend Ohio State. So I would imagine it's somewhere around.
Wait, for a year?
Yeah.
What the hell, man?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay, furthering, this is an in-state kid.
In-state kid. So I imagine out-of-state's probably 40 to 45,000.
Is she trying to go to Ohio State, or you just looked into it?
Ohio State is one of her. It's one of her preferred destinations. Ohio State, Miami, and right now it's kind of those two.
I see. Well, yeah. Furthering my argument there, tuition just out of fucking control, man. Room and board. Let's not forget room and board. Again, these athletes are not just staying, especially, I'm kind of going off Ohio State here, but I have obviously memory of Youngstown State and stuff. Now they stayed in like regular dorms, but colleges like Ohio State and Texas, like they're given like their own apartments that are pretty nice. Free meals, great facilities to work out, and living accommodations. You've seen the facilities there. These guys get to use that for free, however they want, come and go. Their meal, like I said, meals are, really, really high level. And that's just not to mention that the under the table payments they were getting from boosters and stuff. So it's like, what in the fuck are we talking about? These athletes were getting nothing, man. Is that just not good enough? Is that just not good enough?
Well, it's not anymore, and it's about to get better. I mean, from what I am reading of this, there's still some things that are unclear to me, Jay. I don't know exactly where this leaves the NIL collectives. I certainly think that they're still going to exist, but I don't know exactly how that relationship is going to be with the university now, because based on the articles I read, and everybody.
Yeah, Michael, just go in and just explain everything, because I haven't looked too deeply into the new news, and you have.
Yeah.
So go ahead. I'm just going to leave the floor to you.
Well, I just want to caveat everything I'm about to say with all the information and the articles coming out on this are new. And as more information comes out, things are subject to change, or things are subject to evolve, because nobody that I read, from big outlets to small outlets, really had all of the answers I was looking for. They left some things kind of vague and unaddressed. So, I don't know how those are going to shake out. But basically, from what I read, the universities, Jay, not only can they pay them out of this $20.3 million pot, but they can also get them to sign contracts that signs over revenue from their name, image, and likeness. So I don't know. It almost seems like there can be a competition maybe between the NIL collectives, that maybe the university might be taking some of that money back now, because if they have the rights to their name, likeness, and image in a certain way, maybe the contracts will stipulate that it doesn't include anything that they make out of the collective, so that you can separate the two. But right now, that was one of the questions that I had, that it wasn't answered by any of the articles I read. But it did say that the Columbus Dispatch did say that universities are setting up for a pretty big conflict of interest, because they're supposed to be a neutral educational institution. And they're now going to be engaged in potentially having players sign very legal, complex contracts that have financial implications. And so what incentive does the university have to provide adequate education on these contracts and various things? Now, I think that's where the kid's agent comes in. I think it's going to be important to have a really good agent. So I don't see that as that big of an issue. But, technically, it does now put the university in a strange position with its student, because it is set to gain potentially financially from that student. And it's actually set to gain more if that student's uneducated on the process. And so, that's going to be an ethical dilemma that this ruling is going to bring about.
So basically, kids can get NIL, plus they can get money directly from the NCAA.
No, this is revenue sharing from the university. Now,
from the university.
I would imagine that includes NCAA revenues. However, because I don't know how much, I don't know how many, I don't know how much revenue they get from the NCAA anymore. It used to be the NCAA had the rights to a lot of the name, image, and likeness, and it flowed down to the universities. I don't think that's the case anymore. But
yeah, go ahead.
But I'm not 100% sure on that.
What is this $20 million thing, though? Like it said every university is getting like $20 million to kind of do what they want with it. Like, I don't understand that part.
Of their own money. So this ruling
so it's capped at 20.
Yeah, this ruling essentially just gave these universities another $20.3 million bill for their athletic department, because all the major universities that want to compete are going to have to spend that $20.3 million. Many articles said that it's, they estimate that probably 80 to 90% of that will go into football, and most of the other 10 to 20% will go into basketball, and maybe some little bit left over for some few other schools. But this is money that the university is able to share with the athletes, and it's capped at $20.3 million. So the universities that are wanting to win, they're pretty much going to be forced to dish out that $20.3 million, because some other university who's wanting to win is going to be dishing all of it out. And so it's going to force the big boys pretty much to add $20.3 million in revenue sharing that's not going to be staying with the university any longer, but going to be paid out to athletes.
You just opened up Pandora's box here, because, well, you didn't. This did. Mm-hmm. Number one, obviously we know Ohio State, where most of their money is going to go. But let's think about, honestly, let's talk about a college university that is near and dear to your heart. The University of Kentucky, Michael. They have had a respectable football program. They have made, pretty decent headway with Mark Stoops as their head coach. They have this $20 million.
Yep.
But obviously, we know basketball runs the world there. And for a program like that wants to be competitive and elite at basketball, but solid at football, now it's like they either just completely gut their football program and just be like gone, or like their basketball is going to suffer because a program, for instance, like St. John's or teams in the old Big East, like Georgetown, that don't have football programs, Villanova, they only have basketball programs. So they have this $20 million and they can basically just fund their basketball programs.
They can, but your schools like St. John's may not have 20 extra million to be able to dish
Which
out.
I was going to ask too.
Yeah, they might only be able to get 6 million additionally that they can give into the basketball pot. So there probably is still going to be an advantage to the Kentuckys and the North Carolinas of the world in basketball. And you're right. They've got kind of athletic directors have a real business decision to make with this new landscape that just came about. Kentucky, for example, they could split that money up equally, 10 million, and try to raise some additional funds to put more into basketball outside of the university, like in the NIL collectives or things, and maybe they could make it go that way. Or they could say, we're going to put 15, 16 million of this in basketball because that's a lot faster path to a national championship, and that's a lot better payoff to our university to get 3 really great players that could make all of the difference in the world for our 16, 18 million of that 20 million. Or give it to football and hope we can go 8-4 in the SEC. Let's go win a national championship in basketball. And so it may have a negative impact on some football programs.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. And it's, North Carolina football program is going to be really negatively impacted. And Bill Belichick, with all of the sex he's having, and he's like one more sexual session from having a fucking heart attack at 70. How old is he?
74, I think.
74 with this Jordan Hudson, man. It's looking grim for him over there at North Carolina, having to deal with this football program and his life drama and some young freaking gold digger trying to destroy him. Maybe, I don't know.
Here's the one hope possibly for Bill, if he can deal with the 24-year-old girlfriend. If he can handle that part of his life and come back to being the Bill on the football, here's one advantage he would have is I do think North Carolina bringing in Belichick and giving him all of the resources that they gave him, he made so many demands and they met all of them. And I think that they're going to probably fund him with the $20.8 million. And we know that he was.
But how much of that? How much of that, though?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. We don't that's what we don't know. But I think that they're going to try everything they can to make sure Bill has what he wants. And he was the GM of the Patriots all of those years, so that was one of his skills was manipulating that salary cap and getting guys that are bargains to fill certain spots so they can spend money on other spots. So he. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see because let me put this in perspective, Jay. Basically, to put it, I think in the simplest terms, so people say, they really get what happened here. It's essentially like the NFL had a $100 million salary cap last year. And now it's not exactly like this, okay? Every analogy breaks down, but this is kind of essentially what's happening. It's like the NFL had a $100 million salary cap last year. And this year, that salary cap's going to $200 million. Now, it doesn't mean that any of the 32 teams have to spend that $200 million, but they can. And so, what teams are going to get the best free agents? The teams that are willing to spend 130, or the teams that are going to spend the full 200? Well, obviously, the teams that are going to spend the full 200 are going to get the best free agents.
Yeah, man, dude. Oh my gosh, dude, this is absolutely crazy, man. I mean,
the big just got bigger, Jay. The big boys in college football just got bigger, but their athletic budgets now have an additional strain that they're going to have to figure out.
That's not. Let's be real. So Ohio State has 36 sports, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we know none of that money is going to go to any of the non-money making sports. Honestly, the only sports it should go to are football and basketball. And, in my opinion, it probably should go to baseball too. But I don't know. I've heard something about like the NIL collectives have actually all joined forces now. I was reading for Ohio State, like 1870 and the shot or whatever it was, the foundation of all like joined forces now. And because of this, I don't know why that is. And, they can still kind of do their thing. What does this have to do to affect them? I don't know.
It'd be nice about now if the guy that gives all the money, Wexner, if he decided to give about $100 or $200 million donation to the Ohio State Athletic Department, that would, they could name some new building after him or something. That would be this would be a good time for that. But it seems like he always wants to do the medical stuff, so I don't know that we should count on it.
Yeah. Man, dude, there's just so many. You're right. There is a lot more questions than answers that came from this. I can tell you this, man, regarding like this whole like paying these people to, for playing sports. Like, what about? Here's an interesting point. What about like the medical research being done by students that bring in a lot of money and funding to universities? Shouldn't these people be getting paid also? Again, these people are doing legit work for the college. Why are they not getting reimbursed for their likeness? I mean, they're college students too, right?
Right. Here we go, Jay.
What is it?
Where's it?
Are you looking up something?
No, I'm just going to highlight this. James W. NIL is going to ruin college sports. Yeah, I think it already has. I think, like college sports as we know it has already been, or as we used to know it, has already been ruined. I think the question now is, are we going to like this professionalization of college sports? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we'll see how much juice the college football fandom and game has in the tank before. I don't know. Maybe at some point it just becomes too much. But as of right now, college football continues to become more and more like the NFL. And college football is absolutely now at the high level in the Power Four conferences, a professional minor league to the NFL, essentially, is what it's become.
It absolutely is. Boy, oh boy, Michael, just it. I was looking at something. Just you realize the same judge who I named earlier in this show who approved what happened 11 years ago is the same one here that approved this.
Yeah.
I texted that to you, but I mean, just interesting, right?
I mean, let me just say this. I don't really understand what this ruling was. I mean, this ruling was, in my opinion, a little bit of a punishment to universities. You're forcing them to get involved in something that maybe they probably would have rather not have gotten involved in. And I mean, yeah, it benefits the student athletes, but that's about it. I mean, it's, the disproportionate amount of this money. I mean, isn't this a very liberal judge?
Dude, I was literally about to say, appointed by Bill Clinton, of course. Okay. Appointed by Bill. Yeah. Stupid, worthless Democrats just destroying our country and the things we love, Michael. What else can you fucking say? But fucking Democrats destroy everything.
Well, I know, but listen to the irony of it. A liberal Democrat judge, basically is granting untold millions of dollars annually, hundreds of millions, if not more, to football players, and so that's typically not something that liberals think that money needs to go to, is like, football programs and basketball programs and things like that. It's generally some of the liberal, parts of the faculty that, get up in arms about what some of the coaches make, because obviously that's far more than any of those in academia. And so, kind of an odd decision.
Well, Democrats, to wrap them all into a little, put a little bow tie on them. They believe in promoting anything that creates chaos. And this creates chaos. They want to destroy our country. They don't like our country. And whatever, again, it's whatever furthers their agenda to create chaos and undermine the principles of everything that, made our country great and made college football great and college basketball great, they support it. So yeah, they do support this because it kind of, undermines like what our country is that made us great. That, the making kids like, really not have to work for, I mean, I guess they're working to become good athletes and everything, but making money in college and stuff. And it's like, what the fuck are they going to do the rest of their life type thing? I don't know, man. Just chaos.
Jay, do you know what after I started reading about this, I kind of formulated my initial thoughts. I wasn't a huge fan. I didn't think it was necessary. I don't think this is something that necessarily helps the game of college football. However, my next thought was, what are the implications of this? And this is where it could get exciting for Buckeye fans, because we are in a position to absolutely capitalize on this. This is where Ross Bjork is going to earn his money, is formulating a strategy to deploy this in an efficient and in a productive way while, maintaining a competitive advantage over the vast majority of the country. And so if we can do that, we set ourselves up to be in a very small group of consistently, being right there. By that small group, I would say Ohio State, Oregon, Texas. I'm still going to say Georgia, Notre Dame. Probably that's the group right now. And some may fall in and out of the group, but Ohio State has a chance to be there for quite a while if they play their cards right on this and get this smoothed out the way that they did the NIL, the original NIL.
Yeah, well, NIL definitely, as much as we hate it, and I hate it, it really did it did add the cherry on top to getting us a title in 2024, acquiring Will Howard, Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Downs. But at the same time, it doesn't mean it's, it doesn't mean it's right. I mean, I don't know. Just, I tell you what, man, I'm kind of want to look around and see how this does affect a program like St. John's. And I know they're posting about it on their message boards, and they have this long thread regarding NIL. But man, I should have looked at it earlier. I'm not gonna be able to look at it now, but I don't know. I think that they would have the money to, fund a 20 million basketball program. If they don't, Villanova definitely does, because Villanova's won 2 titles in the last, quarter century. So
yep.
Yeah, man. So again, it's just fucking sucks, man. It's just, this all started with the fucking entitlement by these athletes and, thinking people are taking advantage of them and this, that, and the other. I'm like, no one's taking advantage of them. They chose to do this. They didn't get made to do this. They chose to do this. They chose to go play football. They chose to go play basketball. If they didn't want to do that and they wanted to make money, they could have just gone and done something else to go make money. I know plenty of people that don't go to college. And I mean, there's so many success stories in the world where people just skip college and, are multi-millionaires later on. You don't need a college education. Yeah, it comes in handy. But again, it's not the end all be all. And yeah, college is fucking expensive, but that doesn't mean the college owes you anything to fucking go there. It's just a fucking shitty mentality, man. And these athletes are just so fucking spoiled. And again, somebody should have drawn the line in the sand somewhere. I don't know where that should have been. Maybe it should have been with the Ed O'Bannon case. But again, I don't remember what the political environment was back in 2009 to 2014. I know that, the fucking Barack Obama was president. And I forget what Congress looked like back then. I don't remember.
You remember the Northwestern players were involved more in this area. They were not talking about, necessarily the NIL, I don't believe. The Northwestern players were protesting to become employees of the university, that they would get a stipend every month. I think they were wanting
yes, that's right.
They were wanting $25,000 a year per player or something like that.
It
was something very reasonable. I bet the universities wish they would have given that back then. And maybe we wouldn't be here today. But this is where we're at, Jay. It's a big money business, and it just got bigger. And as much as we hate it, and as much as I am with you philosophically on all of your arguments for why it's an awful thing for college sports and why kids, should, feel privileged to just go and get a scholarship and be a part of the program and get the perks of it. I agree with all of that. It's just that those days are gone, and we have, there's really nothing we can do about it. It looks like any legislation is not going to pull it back. It's just going to continue to open it up further and further. And, I think Ohio State can benefit from it. So from that standpoint, I think it is a fun time because everything is tilting towards those big, powerful universities that put a lot into their football program and have money. And it just tilted even more towards that with this ruling. And so Ohio State absolutely can benefit from it. And for that, I'm excited about it, but I do share your sentiment, Jay.
Oh man. I don't know. I still worry about our basketball program. I know you don't care as much about basketball. You're wearing a fucking Dayton Flyers shirt, man.
It was a gift. I got this shirt as a gift. I like the shirt too. The colors are nice.
Oh, okay. All right. I just I don't know, man. Again, a program like Dayton without and that's another example, man. It's right there on your shirt. They don't have actually they do have a football team, or do they? Did they get rid of it, or they still?
No, they've got one barely. I mean, it's about
Division III.
No, it's Division I AA, but it's about as bad as you.
It's a 1 AA.
Yeah, but it's about as bad as you can get for 1 AA.
Oh, okay.
It's
Fuck,
like
man.
it's
I
like
think they were Division II back when I played. Then fuck.
It's like the bottom of the barrel, 1 AA.
Okay, well, I see somebody commenting in the thread about where you got the shirt from, and I've heard that somebody is actually a Dayton Flyers fan when it comes to basketball. And I have a message for that person. The message is, if you're a Dayton fan in basketball and Ohio State fan in football, you're not an Ohio State fan. That's just my opinion. If you're a Kentucky basketball fan and an Ohio State football fan, you are no Ohio State fan, or you're no Kentucky fan either.
Hey, like you said, I have a soft spot for the University of Kentucky. I like the University of Kentucky.
Right.
If they win, it doesn't bother me. I like it when they win just fine. Other than them being a part of the SEC, I never like that. But when they win, that's great. But I'm not a UK basketball fan. I'm not.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I honestly, I really wouldn't hold it against you if you cheered for Kentucky baseball over Ohio State baseball. You probably do, right? If they did play, or do you? I don't know.
That would be a scenario that I would be happy either way. Like if they met in a super regional, like that would be awesome because I'd be super happy whatever the outcome was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Off topic, man. This is not a political show, but with Democrats wanting to destroy the earth and everything. Dude, what the fuck is going on in Los Angeles, man? It's I've never seen so many people upset over people that have broken the law and they're basically getting removed. Like, what the fuck?
I don't know, Jay. It was all I could do to like catch up on this NCAA legislation. I haven't even really attempted to catch up on that other than pulling up some videos that look atrocious. A lot of damage again. It looks like a lot of violence again. Just a sad state of affairs out there.
Yeah. And again, just people don't understand the law. They don't understand the Constitution. And I find it pretty funny. I was literally looking at social media and people are like, oh, they're like violating their constitutional rights and this, that, and the other. You don't have constitutional rights or due process if you're an illegal immigrant. You don't.
Yeah, and Jay, the cops there in Los Angeles are dealing with all of this, and the one video that's circulating social media, and it does kind of look like the guy did it on purpose, and he probably does need to be disciplined somehow for it. But one of the cops I don't know, I guess he got frustrated or whatever, and he shot one of the non-lethal rounds over on the news lady and hit her in the calf. And so that's the big thing that's going around. Oh, look what this cop did. But those cops were out there in the midst of all that danger, as far as I know, nobody's gotten killed, have they? Yeah, I mean, the police
No.
haven't. No, I mean everything's been non-lethal. So obviously they've been doing a great job, and that's the one thing that is going to circulate around social media, and that's kind of part of the problem with social media. It amplifies these little things that were not that big a deal.
James W. said these riots were planned. Can you elaborate if you have time? We're about to hop off of here, but yeah, man, it's just it kind of goes with my theory about the Democrats just want chaos, and what this entire NIL has done, and NGOs are okay, I see. Yeah, I believe that. Michael, one last thing before we get the fuck out of here. I'm hearing that Glenville defensive tackle Jameer Perez. He lost him to Florida like a little over a month ago. People are starting to suspect he's going to end up at Ohio. And I even said that when he committed to Florida. I'm like, I actually think he's going to still go to Ohio State. And I remember saying that. But again, optically, it's still really bad. For how bad defensive line recruiting has been, this guy should never commit to Florida. Like, what are we doing here?
I think that you said it, and I agreed. He's going to end up a Buckeye. I feel firmly that he's going to end up a Buckeye. I really do think it's just a case of NIL. In years past, the Glenville kid would have just gone to Ohio State, and now the Glenville kids have not gotten a whole lot of notoriety. They haven't gotten a whole lot of publication, even though there's been some.
Man, Glenville, I tell you what, dude, I want to go watch them play because this team that they have in 2025, they just have two fucking thoroughbreds on that defense. Jameer Perez, who is, as we know, 6'4", 350 fucking pounds, the epitome of what Ohio State needs on defense, the ultimate nose tackle. You don't even have to move all that well. He reminds me of Jordan Davis from old Mallard Creek up the road from me, who is now a Philadelphia Eagle and Georgia Bulldog. He honestly looks like the same fucking guy. He's 3-star, moves well. I was watching videos of him at Ohio State's camp today. And then as well as Sincere Johnson, who is, a 6'3", long, fast linebacker, composite top 100 player. They have two sick fucking athletes there. Thank God for Ted Ginn Sr., bringing competitive football back again to Glenville. James W. saying the left wants a civil war. Michael, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, somebody wants a civil war, I think for sure. And it seems that there are some powerful people that have aligned on the left to try and maybe create that. So yeah, I don't think that's far fetched. I mean, they want us fighting as much as possible. That's obvious.
Yeah, they absolutely do. So I don't know. I don't think there's much else to talk about tonight, though. Michael, go Reds.
Go Reds. Yeah, I was just going to say, Jay, I think the Glenville kids haven't gotten a lot of hype in recent years. And I think this kid just wanted his due. I think he wanted the attention. I think he wanted to be courted and kind of wined and dined a little bit. And so, he did the Florida thing, but I think he's coming back Ohio State. If
he does commit to Ohio State, because I literally just read that they suspect he's a Buckeye possibly before the weekend, which would be great. I mean, I don't care if he's a 3-star or not. That guy is a 5-star in my book. Big black 6'4", 350-pound tackle. Those players are like come around in Ohio once every 20 years. I'm trying to remember the last time our state had somebody like that. Those kids are in Georgia, Mississippi, Florida. Like they're not here or not there where you are. Maybe where I'm at they are, but not where you are.
They're gonna get that kid. They're not gonna lose that kid out of the state of Ohio.
I agree, but I'm just saying it was bad optics when he committed.
Yeah, they're going to put an NIL package together. Ryan Day's smart enough. He's going to say, what would it cost us to get this same kid out of Texas? What would it cost us to get this same kid out of Georgia or Florida? And they're going to put together competitive NIL. The kid wants to be a Buckeye anyway. Slam dunk, mark it down. He's going to be a Buckeye. Jay said it. I said it. We both agree. And we'll see here in the near future, Jay.
Yeah, man. I know we said a lot of Texas stuff. We still got a plan to fucking meet up at that game. I'm serious.
What, at Texas?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, man. It's a noon game, though, as we all know. I think we mentioned on here it's officially a noon game. If people didn't know, I called that.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's fine. It's going to be hot as fuck.
We'll just have to roll with it. Yeah, it very well could be.
Yeah, man. So nothing else on my end, sir.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. We will be back next week.